Disclaimer: the content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have, and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. And now...
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ben and Amy on the Heavy Truth.
Welcome.
Hi, welcome in.
Welcome back to another episode of The Heavy Truth,
Another
Season
one.
2.
Yes.
It's exciting.
I'm Ben.
I'm Amy.
Hi.
Glad to have you guys.
Yes.
Good to see you again, Ben.
You as well. How are you?
Oh, great.
What's new and exciting? Nothing?
No, nothing.
You colored your hair since I saw you last.
The grays have disappeared. That's always good.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
You know, the summer's winding down.
It
Fall
is.
is in the air. And, you know, when that happens, people tend to not be as active once the summer's, you know,
Yeah.
winding down. So, you know, we get into a situation or a lull of, you know, inactivity.
Rake your leaves. Get off the couch.
And, you know, again, gaining weight is more common in the fall and the winter than it is in the spring and the summer. People aren't moving around as much. So, you know, this episode, we thought that we would talk about this new term called diabesity.
Diabesity.
I don't know if anyone has
That's-
heard of that.
Did you make that up?
No, it is an actual thing.
Okay.
It's not an actual diagnosis.
It's not an Amyism.
No, it's an actual it's an actual term, but it's not a medical diagnosis.
Okay, so there's no ICD-10 code that I can bill for. What is it? Diabesity?
Diabesity. No, but really in essence, it's a pre-diabetes. It's an insulin resistance. It's a metabolic syndrome, which are all, they have ICD-10 codes.
Yep.
But more and more, we're hearing about this term diabesity. So, like, what is it? It's not an official diagnosis, but it's when you have obesity and diabesity and
Wow,
type
both
2
of them.
diabetes together because they are closely related. People
Sure.
who have obesity have an increased risk of having diabetes or pre-diabetes and insulin resistance. But definitely it is something that has a huge potential to cause ill effects on the body lifelong, but there is a positive note. It's reversible. So if you have pre-diabetes, insulin resistance, we can reverse that. And I know for me anyway, that is my goal with my patients who come in with any abnormal labs that are showing me signs of insulin resistance or
Hemoglobin
pre-diabetes
A1C, fasting insulin, complete metabolic panel.
that show fasting insulin. You and I know we are looking at trends.
Yep.
And I could have a patient who, if I've looked back for 4 or 5 years, I can see that those levels have been trending up, although no one has said anything to them or,
Right.
you know, they haven't
Right.
made any adjustments to make things improve. But people can be in that type of a pre-diabetes or insulin resistant state for years beforehand. And, you know, for me, improving lab values is sometimes even more life-changing or worth celebrating than scale movement. How about
Right.
you?
Oh, I agree. Many times you'll look at those lab values, you know, and the scale movement hasn't changed very much or not as much as everyone hopes, right? Because everybody wants to lose it overnight. But then things are getting better, like you said.
It's a non-scale victory.
Yeah, non-scale victory.
We love those.
Yes, the lab values are better. The lipid panel is better. the fasting, the A1C is improving.
Their
all of
body
that's great.
composition is
Body
better.
composition is better, correct.
So, when you have insulin resistance, or as we're talking about diabesity now, your cells resist letting the insulin move glucose into them to use that. So what happens is then the liver is going to store all of that excess and it's going to turn it to fat. So oftentimes, I'll have patients who are saying that they're doing everything right and, their tracking may or may not be on par for where they should be, but they're still staying kind of close to where their calories would be. But they're not monitoring their carbohydrates. And when that happens, anytime you are introducing sugar, whether it's the, natural sugar or it's the sugar from processed foods like pastries and cookies and such, your body...
Breads,
your pancreas is constantly shooting off insulin.
Yep.
So it's just, your blood sugar rises up, your pancreas shoots off insulin to lower it, and it's constant up and down, up and down, up and down.
And it's pushing against that insulin, the resistance that fat has created.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is...
And it wears out. The pancreas
That's
wears
what
out,
it is.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's when people develop diabetes. But if we can catch it before that happens...
With the diabetes, and it can just continue to, quickly worsen, right, with the fat, and then more resistance and more fat.
Absolutely. So if we can catch it before it happens, it gets to that point, then that's great. Because once you are slapped with a diabetes diagnosis, you have it. You have diabetes.
Right.
And...
newsflash, people, even if your A1C falls back to normal, you're still a diabetic,
Yes.
right? You're just not maybe require any sort of medications or things like that, but you're still type 2 diabetic. You're just now diet controlled.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's the same thing. And that...
So primary care providers, please stop taking that diagnosis off of your patient's health records, because once you're a diabetic, you're always a diabetic. It's just how it's controlled now.
Same with obesity.
Yes.
Right? I mean, somebody could have weight loss surgery or just lose weight, whether it's with or
History
without
of
meds.
obesity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the resolved, at least on our charts, I mean, I quickly unresolved that.
Same.
Because you still have obesity. It's just, now it's controlled.
Yeah.
So, we have to make sure that patients that, have the disease of obesity, which it is a chronic disease.
It is a chronic disease.
You are 6 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than those individuals of healthy weight. So, there are other factors that come to play. And
Family
that's,
history is a big one.
Absolutely. Poor diet.
Yes.
Like we talked about, lack of exercise.
Stress.
Stress is a huge one. That could probably be 2 or 3 topics.
Yes.
And then your gut health, which I am a huge proponent of probiotics and prebiotics. Love them. And of the patients that I can get on board with them, it's like changing. Like they'll tell me, Amy, I love these so much because I'm not as hungry as often. Or, my GI, let's just say bowel movements are better. I don't have abdominal pain anymore. I'm sleeping better. Love probiotics. So it's all related.
Yeah.
For sure. But I mean, losing some pounds, even as much as 5 to 10%, is going to help you significantly.
So, for example, if you weigh 200 pounds, right, that 5% is 10 pounds.
Which is, you can see that. I'll say, listen, let's set a goal. And again, the goals are not my goals, they're their goals. You have to set SMART goals.
Yeah.
Mike talked about it in one of our episodes. And it has to be attainable. Like,
For sure.
You have to be able to see it. Like if somebody comes in and they're like, all right, because I'll always say, well, what's your goal weight? They're like, well, my goal weight is, let's say they're 300 pounds. Well, my goal weight's 125 pounds. Okay, great. Ultimately, okay, great. But that's a huge
That's
stretch.
future goal.
It is future goal. And then it really opens up to, is this something that here in weight management, are we going to be able to attain, right? So I like to talk about more short goals. So
Right.
5 to 10% is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, they can see
So
it.
I can speak to that. When I was at my heaviest weight, if I thought to myself, which is now I'm 215, when I was 425, like my goal is 215, I would quickly, when I wasn't, in my mind, right, losing it fast enough, or I had gained something, then it was that I give up, right? So if you think too far out, instead, sometimes we need, like you said, something smaller that is attainable to get there, because slow and steady wins the race.
Well, absolutely. And I know in, some of the first couple episodes, I fully admitted that I was well over 200 pounds. If I would have
What's well over?
probably 240,
Okay.
if I would have said now that I am 135 pounds, like I'm going to get to 135, never in a million years would I have thought that was even possible, right? So I don't even remember when the last time I was of that weight,
But you took small increments and to do
absolutely. It just, over time, it was like 15 pounds, 20 pounds, another 20 pounds. Like it just kept going. And I'm still mindful to this day. You make fun of me. I know you're joking a lot of times, but I truly am very mindful of what I eat. But I still eat, today, had some sub, had a couple Skittles, some spinach dip. Like I eat what I want.
Some booze.
Well, that's a given. Come on. Again, that's something that I will never tell my patients they have to stop drinking. Do you tell your patients they have to stop drinking?
Well, there can be a point where they need to stop drinking if it's a problem.
Oh,
But no,
well,
right.
that's again.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. Right. And back to the topic of diabetes. Was there diabetes in your family? Is there a history of diabetes in your family?
Type 2,
Yeah,
but my
same.
parents were both overweight.
Yeah.
So that is something that I saw as well, and fortunately, even at my heaviest, I never had any issues with my cholesterol, my blood sugars, nothing like that. My blood pressure was a little bit high, but my dad at normal weight had high blood pressure issues.
Right.
So it definitely runs in my family and I'm very aware of it. But, and then, anytime like I have a headache, I'm thinking, is my blood pressure too high?
Right.
Even now at this weight, and I get all nervous about it, but I try to stay on top of it, but it puts you at risk for so many different diseases, So, we just want to really, I think really what this is about is we want people to be their own advocate. And even though your lab values or your blood pressure or, really they're normal, quote unquote, what did they look like the year before?
Yeah.
It's something, are they trending up? Those are things that we want you to be more aware of, even though your primary or whoever's seeing you is like, oh, it's, everything looks good. It's normal. Well, what was it the year before? What was it the year before? Is it trending up and you're gaining weight?
Yeah.
That's something that's significant that needs to be addressed, right?
No, 100%. Right. And with obesity and diabetes and all of that, right, things can move really quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, making sure that you stay on top of that so it can be reversed because, with Ben and I being in obesity medicine and we're certified in it, again, we are honing in on specific things that maybe somebody else wouldn't. Hence why if you have an issue with, your thyroid or, you have something endocrine related, we're going to send you to an endocrinologist who specializes in that.
Yeah.
And, this is what we specialize in is obesity and figuring out those pieces and how can we help reverse whatever's going on.
And support you in your journey.
Absolutely. Right? Yes, because it takes lifelong support, dedication, and it's going to be a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
You have to work on this.
Lifestyle modifications. It's not a diet.
It's not a diet.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Again, hence.
Amy just had Skittles and spinach dip. I had a carrot stick.
Shut up! You totally did not. You've been eating M&Ms. I mean, I just can't.
I brought a lovely salad over.
The salad was amazing.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then she made me eat a sub, and she made me eat some of this candy, and she's not worried if I have diabetes here, guys.
I'm a food pusher.
She is.
But no, again, right, Ben, it's moderation.
It is, yeah.
So we have to be mindful of that and, again, be your own advocate and know what your labs have been doing from year to year to year and seek the advice of an expert,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 100%.
And track your intake. I mean, I am a huge tracker. You have to track what you're eating, I mean, just to make sure that you're staying within limit. I say staying within budget is what I say it all the time.
Yeah, right. 100% staying within budget. Yeah. I always give this analogy when people say, well, I don't understand. Well, if you have $2,000 and you go to the store with a list of something and you spend $1,700 and you got everything on your list, good. You don't have to spend that other $300, but you can if you want to.
Absolutely.
Right? But
I do
that's
it
what
as
I mean.
money too.
That's what I mean by that. And they're like, oh, okay.
Like that makes sense. When you
Yeah.
put it kind of in a money form, it makes sense to them.
And I always tell this, everyone when they want to lose weight wants to jump in with 2 feet and make all the changes. And unfortunately, very few people can make all the changes at one time and be successful. So you start off and slowly make the changes. And I'm a big believer in this. I'm never going to force myself to eat something that I don't like. If I don't like it, I'm not going to have it, right? My thing, here's mine. Diet salad dressings. There's very few light salad dressings that I like. Now, there are a few. And I'm not going to force myself to have a light salad dressing just because it's light. I'll take a regular one on the side rather than pour it on top. But if you don't like it, don't have it.
I'm the same way. Yep.
I'm not going to, you're making a nice beet salad for dinner tonight. Mike does not want it at all because it's earthy. And I had to remind him, well, it's grown in the earth. So I can understand that. But, he doesn't like it. That's fine. Don't.
Right.
I mean, you might force him to eat it because you're his wife, but, you know what I'm saying? But everything, you still need to enjoy your life. You still need to enjoy what you're eating, everything in moderation, and take small steps because we don't want this to feel like a diet, to feel like you're being punished, to feel like
you're restricted so
that you're
much.
restricted.
Right.
I tell people when I talk to them about calorie restriction, I hate that word because the only restriction is here's the amount of calories you have today.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm asking you to make those choices,
Make choices that fit within your budget.
Sometimes the choice is a 6-piece chicken nugget and a small fry, right? But it can't be every lunch and dinner that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. And that is, it's because like you said, I just can't stand the word diet because what we do is not a diet.
Diet is a bad connotation. Diet means you're going to stop it when you get to your certain place, and that's what it's going to be.
Right. Absolutely. So what we do, that's not what this is. And I say to people, if you want a fast weight loss program, you want a fast diet, this isn't Amy's fast weight loss program. Like it's not. This isn't a diet. Yeah. So we're going to give you the tools to help you be successful long term. And, I think we've had a lot of success. Yeah.
And all of that changes in diet goes back to helping you lose weight, with the obesity, which in turn losing weight will help not being diabetic or not reaching diabetes or being diet controlled, right? And coming off of some of those medications, insulin, which is a weight gaining medication,
I hate it. Don't even get me started on insulin.
Right.
It definitely, it's very...
And it just becomes even crazier. I have diabetes on both of my sides of the family. And I will tell you, my grandparents on my father's side, being Hispanic, right, our food is...
Which is even higher risk.
Higher in carbs and things like that, right, which is our ethnicity is a higher risk for hypertension, diabetes, all of these things. But my grandparents the diabetics that had to move from, most insulin is porcine insulin, which comes from pigs, right?
Yep.
My grandparents were such bad diabetics that they were on human insulin. Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it was a thing. I don't know if it still is, but this was
Okay. Oh, a long time ago.
No, well, yeah, they have long passed away, right? But I mean, they passed away in the 90s. So yeah, I mean, but he was human insulin at that time. And my father was diabetic, and I saw what it did to him, right? Having to retire. He was a chef and he had to retire because he couldn't stand on his feet. Yeah. And the sores and having to have amputations. And it's just all a very vicious. Yeah. And he was overweight.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. So again, you see that and you see the importance of it. Yeah. So that's
and I'm not trying to scare anybody or lecture anybody about it. This is what I saw in my life, right? And I mean, I still was overweight my entire life. And even now, after I had my weight loss surgery and everything we talked about in one of the last other episodes, right? It's still a thing that I watch because, I mean, I could bring diabetes on and I don't, and I'm not, I watch my diet because I don't want that because I see what it did to members of my family and people that I know,
Yep. No, I agree completely. So again, being your own advocate, being active, mindful choices, we can avoid this. Yeah. So
I think you guys could have a whole episode on like weight heavy medications. We could probably have
absolutely.
even like your niece on because especially people with psychiatric issues.
There's a lot of psychiatric
mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of psych meds, right?
Yeah.
And we say that are weight heavy along with insulin, like you said, because I hate it. That's definitely a great topic. Yeah, for sure.
We will do that.
And we welcome any topics anybody wants us to discuss or talk through. And I mean, if anyone's wanting, health coach producer Mike to talk about anything else, like we're good with that too. Right,
Are
Mike?
we? Oh yeah, we are.
Look at him. He's like shaking his head at me like, real nice, Amy.
I have a question outside the topics. I was listening to a different podcast on the way here. And what do we call our fans and people that listen to us? Like one that I listen to, it's a great one, and they call their fans creepers because it is the podcast is called Creepy Time, and it's a great podcast. Any ideas or suggestions, or have our fans write in, and what do they want to be called?
Well, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Go back
love
to
that.
all the fats.
All the again, not that. PHATZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I
We'll
like
have fans
that.
write in what they want to be called.
Write in. Let us know what you guys want to be called.
That's cool.
Right? So, right. Listen.
All right.
Go ahead
On that, we are going to
sign off. Head out.
Yep. Sign off.
I'm going to go and have another carrot stick while Amy has some more candies and things.
It's still within my budget, Ben.
Still is. It is.
So we're all good. And until next time.
Until next time, you can catch us on all kinds of social media, all of them, that health coach and producer Mike run. But reach out to us.
Follow, share. It's most important.
Yeah.
I'm
Tell
Amy.
your friends, tell your family. And I'm Ben.
We're the Heavy Truth.
We are.